Hey friends, welcome back to my porch for another Wellness Wednesday video. I've got my sweater, I've got my coffee. It is like perfect fall right now, although in the next couple of days the rains are supposed to start, and once they start I expect they will be here for the duration of the fall. So we're really trying to soak in these last few days of beautiful fall weather. The temperature has not been super cold. It's been like the perfect pumpkin harvest festival type weather. So we're trying to do as much of that as possible in these last few beautiful fall days. So in this video, as you see from the title, I got some blood work done, and I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the specific things I got tested. So I have been testing my blood often recently, especially since I got my iron infusion. I'm really trying to keep an eye on my iron levels and kind of see how much supplementation I need to do in order to keep my ferritin levels specifically at a place that I am comfortable with. After experiencing what it was like being deficient, iron deficient, I never want to go back there. So I have been testing every 6 weeks. I've been testing my total iron and my ferritin and a couple other little iron markers. And then also I'm really keeping a close eye on my ANA, which is a marker of autoimmune disease. It's kind of right at a borderline place right now, and I definitely don't want to see it go up, and I want to see if what I'm doing is helping it go down. I also am keeping an eye on my HSCRP. About 3 or 4 months ago when I got it checked, it was higher than I wanted it to be. It was like 3.4, I think. And that definitely was a concern, but I got it retested 6 weeks after my iron infusion, which was 6 weeks ago. And it had gone down, so that was good. And so I just wanted to get another test. It's one of those tests where you don't want to just take one test and run with it. You have to test it a few times to get an idea of where it is, because you can have transient inflammation that really isn't a concern. So anyways, I got that tested again, but also Ulta Labs, where I have ordered tests from, where a patient can order their own tests. There's several different companies, Direct Labs, Ulta Labs, Jason Health. There's a lot of them, and they have similar prices for different tests, but they do vary. So it's good to shop around. If there's a specific test you need to get, you can shop around for the best deals. They also have specials every once in a while. And just recently, Ulta Labs did a special in conjunction with Amazon Prime, whatever it was called. It wasn't Prime Day. It was like Prime something. Anyways, they did a big sale in conjunction with that, and they had a whole bunch of tests and different bundles of tests for 50% off, and then some for, or I think the whole rest of the site was 20% off. So it was a really good deal. So I went ahead and tested a few more things, including my A1C, because I hadn't had that tested in about 3 months, 3 or 4 months. And that's one that's a snapshot of your blood sugar over a 3-month period. So I figured it was a good time to go ahead and get that retested. They had a 50% off bundle that included just a glucose measurement, insulin measurement, and A1C. If you bought them all together, it was 50% off. So it was a really good deal. And I've never had my insulin, my fasting insulin tested. So I thought that would be interesting to see. So I got that bundle. Then I also got a couple other ones that are usually pretty cheap and good to keep an eye on. Comprehensive metabolic panel, complete blood count, and then I also got just a cholesterol panel run. So first off, I'll go over the A1C and the insulin, because that's what I titled this video, and I know some of you are just clicking on the video for that. And I could get my watch time up if I stretch this out and, you know, save that to the end, but I don't like to be that kind of YouTuber. So I will go ahead and start with that. So the last 6 weeks, I have been doing my SIBO killing protocol with antimicrobials, and I read from some smart people in the SIBO realm that when you're using antimicrobials to kill SIBO, it's best not to go too low carb. You want to eat some fiber, you want to eat a fair amount of carbs in order to keep the SIBO alive. If it goes dormant, it can be harder to kill. So I made an effort to eat a little bit higher carb. At this point, I wish I had counted a little bit just so I knew how much more carbs I was eating. And it definitely varied from day to day. There were days that I was very ketogenic in my macros, I'm sure, and then other days where I was completely not ketogenic. When I started feeling like my digestion was doing a little bit better, I told you guys I experimented with some things. I experimented with some carbs just to see how my digestion would respond. So there were days where I was not ketogenic at all. We had a family get together. I ate ice cream, not keto ice cream, the full sugar stuff. And then just on a daily basis, I was adding in more vegetables to my diet, a little bit more fruit, but mostly in the way of berries, but like larger amounts, because I really wanted to make the most of the antimicrobial protocol I was taking, not have it be done in vain. So I just decided to put my head down and just up my carbs and hope that it didn't affect me too badly. When I got it done about 3 to 4 months ago, it was at 5.0, which is great. I was very, very happy with that. So I was very anxious to see what it was going to turn up this time after 6 weeks of upping my carbs. So drum roll, please. My A1C came back at 5.0, exactly the same as it was before when I was eating fewer carbs. Needless to say, I was very, very happy with that. I don't check my blood sugar on a regular basis. I do have blood sugar monitors here at home, and I just haven't taken the time to do that. It hasn't been like a huge priority to me, so I haven't really been taking fasting blood sugars or postprandial or all those things. I've just been eating and deciding I would, worry about the blood sugar later. So I was very happy to see that it had stayed the same. It gives me a good clue that my body is doing really well as far as handling my blood glucose and keeping it at a good level. I will throw in here that one of the antimicrobials that I was taking for Sibo was Berberine. And I didn't know that it was an antimicrobial. I always knew it as a blood sugar lowering herb or supplement. And so when I saw it on the list, I was like, oh, I'll take that because I already know it's good for all these other things. And if it helps kill my Sibo, I mean, even better. So I'll throw in here that it could be because I was taking that Berberine, that it kind of offset the higher carb count that I was eating and kept my blood sugar stable. That's a possibility. I have experimented with Berberine before as far as keeping my blood sugar lower, and I've never noticed that it had much of an effect. I would, test my blood sugar some days before, then I'd start taking the Berberine, and I never really noticed that it had any effect on my blood sugar. So I don't know for sure, but I just wanted to throw that out there because it is something that could have mitigated my body's response to the higher carb. My glucose number at the time that I got my blood drawn was 86, and that was great. Fasting blood sugar number after about 12 hours fasted, I believe. So no complaints there. And then my insulin. So I have never had a fasting insulin test done, and so I don't have anything to compare it to previously, but I'm excited to have a baseline now and have it be one of those things that I test periodically just to see how I'm doing. But my fasting insulin came back at 2.8. And from my quick little study and research, that's pretty good and pretty low. And it's actually low enough that some websites I was looking at were saying it's too low and you need to, do something to raise your fasting insulin. I don't think those were keto people. I think in the keto world, a 2.8 would be considered good. Like there's a reason that it's low. If I were eating lots and lots of carbs and my insulin were that low, then it probably would be a concern because my body's not I don't know. That's all a guess. So anyways, I think because I'm keto and I know that I'm eating a lower carb amount, even when I've been eating a little bit higher carb, it's still very, very low carb, compared to the standard American diet. So anyways, because I know I'm eating low carb, I'm not worried that my insulin is too low. I think 2.8 just shows that my body is doing what it's supposed to be doing and lowering my insulin when I don't need it, like after a 12-hour fast. And according to the reference range from the lab, anything under a 19.6 is considered optimal. So 2.8 totally happy with that. I'm not going to spend too much time on the cholesterol numbers. I wasn't really worried about it, but because of the deal that Ulta had, I went ahead and added it because it had been the same like 3 to 4 months since I'd had it run. So I was just curious. It did go up from my last labs. And I think the last time it was just over 200, which I personally am not concerned about. I don't follow the mainstream conventional understanding of cholesterol, and I don't get concerned when it's over 200. I do think cholesterol numbers can tell us certain things about what's going on in our body, but the whole heart disease hypothesis behind high cholesterol, I don't really buy into that. Of course, I am not a doctor or an expert in any way, but I follow people that are, that have the same, I follow their recommendations about cholesterol, which is not in alignment with the cholesterol heart disease hypothesis. So anyways, it was just over 200 total cholesterol back when I had it run 3 to 4 months ago. And when I got it run this time, it was 297 total cholesterol. My cholesterol to HDL ratio was good. My HDL was 62, which is good for me. That's about where it always is. My triglycerides were 80, which is a really good level, but it's actually pretty high for me. Normally mine are somewhere between 30 and 50. If I'm remembering correctly, they're always like ultra low. And so it was interesting. I've never seen them that high. I've never seen them at an 80. So maybe that's an effect of the little bit higher carbs in my diet. That's a possibility. But it's still not in a concerning range. So I'm not worried about it. My, let's see, LDL was 216, which is high, you know, red flags and arrows and scary stuff. I'm not super worried about that, because my HDL and my triglycerides are in a good place. I do also think that getting my labs or my cholesterol labs done right after that 6 weeks of the antimicrobials probably wasn't the best timing, because your cholesterol can be affected by your body being in, you know, shifting. Like if you've recently lost a lot of weight or gained a lot of weight, or just if your body's in kind of a weird place, it's not the best time to test cholesterol. So I probably should have just skipped the cholesterol test this time and waited until my body had leveled out a little bit. But it is what it is, not worried, but I thought I would share it. Next up is the HSCRP. So I told you when I got it done 3 to 4 months ago, I think it was 3.4, which was way higher than I'd ever seen it and way higher than I'd like to see it. And I got it retested 6 weeks after my iron infusion, and it had gone down to 1.2. So that was really good. I was very happy with that. I just got it done again just to see if there was any change, and actually it had gone down even more to 1.0, which is really good. Anything under 1 is optimal. So I'd really like to see it under that 1.0, but being right at that 1.0, I'm very happy with. I have been taking the low dose naltrexone that my doctor prescribed for me, and one of the effects of it is supposed to be like anti-inflammatory. So it's possible that that is having an anti-inflammatory effect, and I'd be very happy with that. So definitely going to keep up with the low dose naltrexone, and I will keep my eye on the CRP, see if I can get it down below that 1. That would be super exciting. Everything in the complete blood count and the comprehensive metabolic panel was all good, aside from my alkaline phosphatase, which is always low. I was wondering if the iron infusion and getting my iron levels in a good place would have changed that, but sadly they are still at an 8, where the reference range is 31 to 125. I do not know. I've Googled and Googled, and there's no explainable reason why my alkaline phosphatase would be that low. If anyone has any ideas, again, I would be interested to hear them. I have a chicken coming to visit me. What are you doing on the porch? You are going to poop on the porch and it's going to make a giant mess. So anyways, the different things that the alkaline phosphatase being low can mean, I just don't have any of the other symptoms that go along with it. I've supplemented with zinc and all different things because it can be a result of deficiencies in certain minerals like zinc. And there's just we can't figure it out. I've gone back and forth with my doctor for many years trying to figure it out. And she just said, some people just have out of reference normals. Like your normal is just out of reference, and sometimes you just have to accept that. But I was curious to see if the iron infusion would make a difference, and sadly, so far it has not. Now, as far as my iron in my blood, like total iron, was 80 6 weeks ago, and that was 6 weeks after my iron infusion. It went up to 123 this time, so that's good. I'm in a good place there. Now, my ferritin, I got tested 6 weeks ago, 6 weeks after the iron infusion, and it was 130, which is towards the higher end of normal. But for me, having just been deficient, I want it to be very high for a while and let my body get used to like being high, being a normal. And so I was really happy with the 130 that I got 6 weeks ago. And I have been taking only 1 serving of the Blood Vitality Ancestral Supplements supplement. And so it's not like I'm supplementing iron necessarily, because it's like a whole food supplement. It has like liver and spleen and blood in the supplement. So I've been taking that, and I wanted to see if just taking that was enough to keep my ferritin levels at a good place. So ferritin was 130 6 weeks ago. When I got it done just now, it was down to 91. So 91 is still in a fairly good normal range. And it could just be my body leveling out after the infusion. But the fact that it went down almost 40 nanograms per milliliter, I believe. But it went down 40 in 6 weeks. And that kind of freaked me out because I really don't want it to keep going at that rate. So I am going to start, or I have started, since I saw that come in, I have started supplementing more iron. I'm using the 3 Arrows, Simply Heme and Heme Plus, some of each. And I'm going to be adding that. And then in 6 weeks, I will get it done again and see if that level of supplementation is keeping me the same, is raising it, or if it's still lowering. So that will be interesting to see. I just freaked out a little bit because I mean, 40 every 6 weeks, I'm going to be back at 0 here in another couple of months. So definitely upping my supplementation from here on out. So that was really good information, but that's really all with the iron stuff. Let's see, what else did I do here? Okay, last one is the ANA, which is the marker for autoimmune disease. And for me, the most likely autoimmune disease that I would have is lupus. And so for years, I feel like I've been right at the edge of a lupus diagnosis. And I think, I have to chalk it up to healthy living, that I haven't like gone over the edge to officially be diagnosed with lupus. I can only imagine how terrible my health would be if I continued on the standard American diet path that I was on when I was a teenager. It was when I was about 18 that I started changing my diet and trying to figure out what healthy meant to me. And if I had not done that, I cannot even imagine what a mess my body would be at this point. So anyways, I have been taking the low-dose naltrexone, and that's supposed to help regulate the immune system. And I'm hoping that it will help bring my ANA numbers down. So my level 6 weeks ago and the 6 weeks before that was 180. And that is right on the border between low and elevated. So 140 to 180 is low, below 140 is negative, and then above 180 is elevated. So I'm at the highest end of the low antibody level range. So it's one of those things where it's not like something urgent, but it's something I really want to keep an eye on, and I don't want it to get any higher. So I got the test done again. And again, I was at 180. So no change there. I was hoping that the low dose naltrexone would have an effect. I'm going to keep taking it and see if it does. Maybe it'll just take time. I know my body's kind of been through a lot in the last 6 weeks, so it'll be interesting to retest these things again when, you know, I've leveled out a little bit and things aren't quite so turbulent. So I was disappointed that it hadn't gone down. I am glad it hasn't gone up, but that is where we are at with that. So those are all the tests that I got done. And I wanted to talk real quick here at the end about the Sibo test. I told you I was going to do a Sibo test now that I'm finished with my antimicrobial treatment. And so I ordered the Sibo test. It's a breath test you do at home. I did a whole video on doing it when I did it originally. And I got the test. I scheduled when I was going to do it. I did the whole first or day before prep diet that you have to do. And I had gone off my L-Reuteri yogurt for 2 weeks because I knew that that was going to affect the breath test. And so I had been off of that for 2 weeks. I was ready to get my breath test done and then start eating my L-Reuteri yogurt again because I'm absolutely dying to start eating it again because it helped me so much. And I got up in the morning ready to take my test. I opened everything up. I was looking at the paperwork. And I did not remember from last time that it says on the paper, don't take this breath test until at least 2 to 4 weeks after your last dose of antimicrobials, like natural antimicrobials. And I was like, oh my gosh. So first of all, at least 2 to 4 weeks is not a very helpful way to word it, because is it at least 2 weeks or is it at least 4 weeks? So anyways, I was like, shoot, because it had just been 3 days since I had finished my antimicrobials. So anyways, I packed everything back up and I am going to do it towards the end of October after it has been 2 weeks from my last antimicrobial dose. But what that means is I stopped eating my L-Reuteri yogurt 2 weeks early. I could have been eating it for 2 whole weeks before I had to stop for 2 weeks. So by the time I actually am able to eat it again, it will have been almost a month. So much sadness about that. I feel like Lindsay. Much sad. Anyways, so that was really disappointing. I was very frustrated that morning when I realized that. And I had done the whole stupid prep diet the day before, which is really not fun because it's like basically a dairy-free carnivore diet where you can't have any spices. You can only have salt and pepper. And it's just not pleasant at all. And now I have to do it all again towards the end of October. So anyways, I don't have any results for the Sibo test yet. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I'll be able to share that. And then I will make my decision going forward about what I'm going to do as far as a next round of antimicrobials, or if I decide to tackle it another way. I will just have that update for you later. So anyways, that is what's going on with me. I hope you're doing well on this Wellness Wednesday. I hope you guys are enjoying the fall, especially if you're having beautiful fall weather like we are. And I'll just leave it here and I'll just talk to you in another video.